What does cleaning a carpet have to do with your journey to inner peace? Well, stay tuned and I'll let you know. Welcome to episode 51.
Welcome to the show.
Well, welcome to the show. My name is Will Sinclair and you're listening to The Real Truth About You. This is a show where we help you to discover your amazing and true self by going into the inside of your life, the interior journey. Because when you get the inside right, the outside takes care of itself. Well, I want to give a special shout out to Jerry Deeney in the UK. Jerry, thank you for being such a great friend. Really appreciate all your emails. Jerry and I go way back into the 1970s, and our friendship got rekindled actually partly through this podcast and a little bit of Facebook. So anyway, it's such great to be connected with you, Jerry. And also a shout out to Rita Germain in Carlisle, Saskatchewan. Rita, I know you've been listening into the show, and I just want to thank you so much for that. You're listening with Ray Boutin, and I'm really happy because Ray Boutin has actually become a sponsor for our show here. Ray Boutin owns Performance Realty, and he's one of those guys that he's a people person, and he just loves to help people, and he'd love to help you find your ideal home. Performance Realty not only likes to sail the beautiful waters of Kenosee Lake, the Performance Realty team are also standing by to assist you with all your real estate needs in Kenosee and in the southeast Saskatchewan. So call or text Ray, Jody, Chad, or Tracy at area code 306-575-8575. That's 306-575-8575. Or Google Ray Boutin at realtor.ca. And I'll have all that on my website. I have to say that I live out here in Kenosee Lake, and this area and the surrounding area is just so beautiful country. So give Ray and the team at Performance Realty a call. Okay, I said last week that when we hit episode 50 that I'll probably tell you about my cat story. There has been a cat, a gray cat with 4 white paws, like they've got socks on, and I've learned that his name is actually called, I think it's Socks or Boots or something like that. But anyway, the thing about this cat is, for those of you not familiar, my wife and I live at a camp. We run a boys and girls camp, and there's on the edge of a lake in the bush, and it has a year-round retreat center on it. And anyway, there's this cat that showed up at our doorstep, and so I kind of fed it a little bit. It was a little hungry. You can tell it was a little domesticated, and I fed it, and then I put it on Facebook, and finally somebody called and said, "Hey, that's our cat." Well, the funny thing is, this person lives 11 kilometers down the highway from us, and this cat had walked all the way to our place, right to our front doorstep at our camp, and that was kind of unusual in itself, but I took it back, and that is a story in itself because I didn't realize that cats don't actually like to be transported in vehicles, and this cat was so friendly. It was just such a friendly cat that it was in and out of my legs, like purring, and you can pet him and all kinds of stuff. And so I thought it'd be easy. I'll just pick him up and put him in the truck, and away we go down the highway. Not so. I pick him up, and he was good with it. And that was fine for a little bit. And I tried to as soon as I approached the vehicle and opened the door, it was like, out come the claws, and it's like afraid, and it's clawing at all my clothes, and it's pulling my clothes, and it just does not want. It's trying to get away from the vehicle, so I kind of let it go, and it kind of drops down onto the floor, onto the ground. We're outside, of course, and it's unharmed. And anyway, it kind of takes off a little bit. So I go in the house, and I'm going to be smart. I'm going to be really smart. I am going to get a can of tuna. So I get this can of tuna, and I put it in a bowl, and I kind of coax the cat towards the vehicle, and I got the door open, the passenger side open, and I thought, so it's coming towards the bowl of tuna, and so I put the bowl of tuna into the vehicle, and I obviously knew I was playing games here, so it just like left. And then I got the bowl of tuna, and I put it down by the cat again, and this time I waited until it like was right into like eating it, and I slowly put it in the truck, and then the cat got into the truck. I closed the door. Hey, it's great, works great. Get in the vehicle. I'm not even like outside of the camp, and I have to pull over because the cat is like jumping on top of me and just like scared stiff, and its claws are digging into my clothes, and I was really happy I wore a jacket. And anyway, I take the cat off, and I kind of pet it a little bit, try and calm it down a little bit, and I put it down in the passenger seat, and I take off again, and it's like this, and next thing I know, it's jumping on top of my dash and on top of my steering wheel, and I can't even see where I'm going. I had to pull over again, and it was like on top of me, and I had to try and calm it down, and it was like not a happy cat at all. And then we finally get calmed down a little bit, and I drove a little bit more, and just about get 6 kilometers out to the highway, and here it goes again. It's back on top of me, and it's clawing and trying to get out of the vehicle. And finally, I just sat in the side of the road, and I actually sang a little song to it. I don't know. That's what I did anyway. And I sang this little song, and it kind of calmed down a little bit. And finally, it went into the back of the vehicle. We have a SUV, and went into the back of the vehicle, and I went out on the highway. And where this cat lives is like 11 kilometers from where I live. And from our doorstep to this guy's doorstep, this family doorstep, and they live in a little acreage. And anyway, along this journey here, the cat's in the back going, and I'm like, oh, I know, I hear ya, and I'm keeping driving, hoping it's not going to pounce on me. And finally, I get to the place where it lives, and I try to get it out of the vehicle now, but now it's underneath my seat in the back. And it's kind of hiding under there, and so finally it sees that it can get out, and it tries to get out, and it was like trying to watch one of those cat cartoons, and the back of his body seemed to be a little bit stuck, not like solidly, but he pulls it, and it just like slaps up against him. It's just so funny. But anyway, he jumps out, and then I could tell he was home because he headed off to the garage, and apparently he's like he's not an indoor cat because the guy's wife is allergic to cats, but it is a cat the kids love, and they keep it in the garage and let it roam around outside to feed it and things like that. And I think it eats mice too. I'm not sure, but anyway, so that was great. Well, it was about a week later, cat's back at my door, and I'm like, this is unbelievable. So I'm feeding this cat, and then I call the guy, and I said, you better come and get it this time. So he comes to get the cat that evening, and the cat goes home. Well, another week goes by. Here's the cat again at my doorstep, just purring and waiting to be fed. And I'm like, what the heck? And this cat has to walk 11 kilometers down the highway and through the bush and through what's actually dangerous territory for a cat. There's lots of coyotes and wild animals out here, and it's risking its life to get here. And finally, the guy came back and picked it up again. But I'll tell you, I grew up not really loving to have pets. My mother was not a great pet person, and she was like, ugh, and stuff. But maybe I inherited that a little bit. But this third time when the cat came back, and I was feeding it, I actually started making cat food for it and chopping up food for it, and that it would like, and making it, whatever a cat can eat. And then when the guy came and took it, I was actually sad. It was like I'd lost a buddy. And so anyway, who knows? I'll let you know if the cat comes back a fourth time. And if it comes back a fourth time, we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's my cat story. Okay, I was I was at our retreat house today, and I was cleaning for a group that's coming in to use our retreat house. And I was cleaning the carpet, and a lot of times, sometimes you can look at the carpet and you can look at the rooms and you can say, oh, it's not too bad, it looks pretty good. And when you step back, it looks all right. But I noticed today, and well, I've noticed this all the time, right? But I just equated this to life today. When you go to clean a carpet, and I'm talking about vacuuming a carpet, when you go to vacuum a carpet, and I'm really big on this, my wife's not so much big on this, but when you go to like vacuum a carpet, you don't always see the dirt. You don't always see all the little specks, and it depends on the type of carpet that you have. But you don't always see the specks until you start to clean, until you start to vacuum, and then you start to notice things. Or when you're walking on the carpet that you thought was clean and you can feel stuff underneath your feet if you're in your socks or bare feet. But it's not until you actually start to vacuum that carpet that you actually begin to notice where all the dirt is and where all the pieces are. And anybody's vacuumed a carpet knows what I'm talking about. If you haven't, it'd be the same as sweeping a floor, I guess. But I did notice that it's not until you start and that you actually start the cleaning process that you actually see the dirt. And sometimes our life is like that. Our life can be somewhat like that. When I was cleaning the sinks look not too bad, but then when you start to spray them down and clean them, then you start to notice little marks that you never noticed before. It's not till you get up close and personal with that you actually see those little marks and you can clean them off. And we are so much like that in our life. You can look at your life and sometimes when you just like see the big picture of your life and you're not the nitty gritty, you don't get on the journey, you don't see all the things that need to be cleaned. And it depends on what you've done with your life and where you've taken your life as to how much needs to be cleaned in your life. And the cool thing is you don't actually have to do the cleaning, right? If you stay open to everything being divine and sacred, then you will automatically begin a process of healing when you get to cleaning. Like when you get to that point where you start the journey, and as you journey on this journey, as you get into meditation, which is the process of becoming quiet, to quiet your life down, to get to that point where you can, it's like vacuuming, where you can actually begin to see things that come up. So when you get to that point, that things do start to come up and they can be healed. One thing I learned, and I've said this all along in many podcasts, is that you don't have to go in and analyze and figure out what's wrong and why things are coming up and why you're angry or why you just feel the way you do or whatever it is, right? You don't have to analyze it. When you're on this journey using meditation, which is just that process of quieting yourself down so that you can hear your body talk, so that you can hear your mind talk to you, you can hear your God speak to you. When you're on that journey, you'll see all those little specks. They'll just automatically come as you progress along the journey. But the key is you have to begin this journey. And you have to continue with this journey. And the journey, I'm going to be honest with you, can be quite difficult. Like the journey itself can be very hard. And I'm not going to say that it's not, because it very well can be, and it has been for me at a lot of times. There are times where when you deal with the hurts that are in you, they really hurt. When something is coming up from your past or something has to be dealt with in your life, it can really hurt. When your God is healing you, right? When things are coming up to be healed, sometimes it hurts. It really does. And I'm not going to say it doesn't. I remember sitting at home and emotionally just so distraught at what was coming up, and it was like a thorn that was being pulled out, and or a root that was being uprooted that dug itself deep, and I didn't want to let it go almost. And I remember sitting there almost crying. In fact, maybe there's a few times I did cry. And I said to my God, I said, this hurts. This really, really hurts. But it is worth it. It was so worth the journey. It is so worth sitting metaphorically and just being still and allowing your God to heal you. And it's that journey to inner peace. And, you see on the side of like cups and T-shirts, you see things printed or postcards, and there's all kinds of sayings. I found a cup, and on the top of the cup it says peace. And I just want to read you what was on the cup there. I'm just bringing it up on my phone here. It says, peace. It does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, no trouble, or no hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still be calm in your heart. And the author of that's unknown. So to be able to be calm in your heart. And I come from a Judeo-Christian background, and we talk about salvation, we talk about heaven and things, and I used to have a preconceived notion of what heaven was, and it was probably what you see in a lot of movies where you die and you go to heaven or you don't, right? But since then, things have changed for me and how I look at things, and the process of salvation. People used to say to me, then why don't you just live a boisterous life right now and just do whatever the heck you want, then apologize to God after, and then before you die, and then you can go to heaven, right? If everybody gets forgiven and all this kind of stuff, right? Well, then why don't you just do that? But the thing is, I think we're missing the point when it comes to salvation. I think there's salvation for you right here, right now. And Jesus Christ, when he walked the earth, he talked about that. He talked about the kingdom of God is near. The reign of God is near, and he wasn't talking about as in time, as a timeline, like it's going to come, but it was more of a spatial thing that is near. It is here, and all you have to do is become aware and allow God to bring you into that, right? Because not so much bring you into it, but bring you into the awareness of it, that you can live a very awakened, very rich, very fulfilled, very spiritual life. I have a friend Tammy Dovell, and she's been on the show a few times, and she's on this spiritual journey, and she talks a lot about Christ consciousness, and she's very much into the life of Jesus and other things too, but she talks a lot about grace and about energy and things like that. But one of the things that stands out about her that really parallels what Jesus Christ showed us in our lives is when Jesus went about, he healed people. He could tell, he sent his apostles ahead, and he would say, go to this village and you'll find a donkey, tell the owner that you need it for your master, and things like that. Or there's a story about the woman at the well, and he'd be talking to this Samaritan woman, which was unheard of back then for a Jew. Jesus was a Jew, he wasn't a Christian. To be talking to a Samaritan woman in the first place, or to a woman, but he's talking to this woman, and he says, go and tell your husband, blah, 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 blah. And she says, well, I'm not married. And he says, you're right to say you're not married, because this is the fifth person you've been with, and you've had how many husbands before, right? And he actually names it all. And how does he know all this? Like, how does he see all this? And this is what he tells us our life should be like. We should be able to do the same as he did, and even greater, the Bible says. That we should be able to do as he did, and even greater. And this Tammy has this ability to be able to see, like she's a person who sits in this quiet, who takes the time to be, to allow God to permeate, to allow the universe, whatever that is divine, to permeate her entire being. And she lives in that state. And I look at how she lives and what she does and how she helps people and how she's even healed people through the grace. And she'll tell you it's not her doing the healing, but it's divine grace, it's divine energy, it's God doing the healing, right? But she's like an open channel. And we talk about that as Christians, but we don't always live that. And we don't always live in that. And we seem to think it's something that's foreign to us. But the truth is, as we continue on our journey, as we embark on this journey, as we begin to vacuum, to clean the carpet, to clean the sink, and take the time to do that, then we will begin to see all those things. God will make us aware of those things that He's going to heal that we don't necessarily see if we don't take that time. Like, God can still do amazing things in our lives. But there's a point where we need to stop and we need to slow our life down. We need to come into the present moment. We need to stop living in the future with anxieties that come with it. And we need to stop dwelling on the past and all the stresses that came from it. You know, we need to live in that present moment, because it's in that present moment where God actually is. There is no time. Time is only a tool of measurement, just like distance is a measurement. Yet, we seem to take time and we seem to live consistently by it as though it was something. It is not. Ask a tree what time it is. Ask a plant. Ask a bird. Ask a mountain. What time is it? Not a clue. Doesn't know what you're talking about. They all live and fulfill their lives and their very being in the present moment. And that's where we need to come, to the present moment, to be in that timeless space where the timeless God lives. Until we get to that point, until we get into that timelessness, where we don't see into the future, we don't dwell in the past, but we just live in that present moment. Unless we get to that point, we will never truly see on earth the beauty, the richness, the vastness of God, of the divine, of the universe that's all created. We need to take that time to just sit and be present, to be present to the moment. Through that, you will find amazing, amazing changes in your life. And they're not just changes for change's sake. They're transformations. They're reawakenings. They're rediscoverings. I used to say that, I already said that I used to be a very angry person and used to dwell in that anger. Now that I've gone through a lot of the pains and hurts of this growth, this growing, this getting to know God, getting to know the divine, what is sacred, what is pure, that my life is truly transformed. And I always thought it was, I would get to know God more so I could worship God more, and there's God on the throne that's high above and mighty and it's hard to reach. I would get to know this God more. But that's not what happened. What happened was I got to know me more. And in knowing me more, I got to know my God more. I got to know the God who is within me more. And I found myself going from being a person who lived with purpose in their life, had to have purpose, right? Always had to be driven forward, moving forward, always had to have purpose, always had to be doing something, to a person who's content at being, just being still. I'm not saying I don't like to do things. I'm not saying I don't like to think about the future and what it might bring, but I don't live there anymore. I lived in the future because I hated who I was today. So I always wanted a better future version of me. I never lived in the present moment. Now I tend to live more in the present moment. Not perfect at it, but I'm getting there. And discovering in the process the real me without having to delve into who I am and where I came from, what my past was, how I was shaped, and all that kind of stuff. Just by allowing myself to be in the stillness, to be in the present moment, automatically allows me to allow my God to permeate my being. There's a biblical saying, and it was one that used to puzzle me a lot. It was a saying. It's called "Many are called, but few are chosen," and it's in the Christian Bible. And I'm not saying you have to be Christian. I'm just talking because I come from that background. And it says, "Many are called, but few are chosen," and I never could figure that out. But the fact of the matter is, now that I know. So everybody is called, but you have to allow yourself to be chosen. You have to allow yourself to be chosen. We're all called into this vastness of knowing, this vastness of abundant living, of peace, inner peace. But we have to allow ourselves to be chosen. We have to allow God to move in and through us like a dance, like flowing water, in and out. It's like being in an ocean, surrounded. And I've found so much difference in my life. I found an inner peace, an inner joy, inner strengths that I've never experienced before. I've found myself actually discovering what I call it my new personality, but it's not new. It's just a rediscovered personality, and I'm actually quite a steady kind of person, and I'm enjoying that steadfastness, that consistency in my life, the not up and down mind games and this and hurt by this and bothered by that and angry at this and angry at that, and it all comes from this journey. And in some of my other podcasts, I talk more about that kind of thing. And I'm actually looking at putting together a more, like a transformation type audio that I'll be doing soon. And I'll let you know about it. So, but anyway, I just want to encourage you to get up and clean. You're not actually doing the cleaning, but just get up and start the process. And you start that process by saying, okay, yes. All right, yeah, okay, I'll start. Let's do it, and do it. Start it by basically doing nothing. Basically, by doing nothing, and that seems like, well, what do you mean, right? Because whenever you start things, there's always something to do. But this is the process of undoing. This is a process of not climbing up the ladder, but climbing down the ladder. And this is the process of not going outside and trying to find everything, but going inside. It's a journey to the inside. And so this is a process of learning how to be still, how to be quiet. And I'm not saying you can't go out and have a good time and laugh and be with your friends, but you need to take this time for quiet. My wife is finding more and more time in her life for quiet, and she's a social butterfly. She just loves to be with people. And she's in a job where she's with people all the time, with customers and working with clothing and fashions and that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, if she can do it, you can do it. And if I can do it, you can do it. And it's not an easy journey. I'm not going to lie to you. But take that time to start if you haven't already started. And if you are on the journey, keep going. Don't quit. Because the rewards are so superior to what the apparent feeling of hurt might be that you might feel as you go through this journey. So anyway, so go on the journey and enjoy the journey, right? Just enjoy the journey. Don't worry about destination. Just enjoy the journey. Enjoy being who you are. I'm really starting to like who I am and enjoy who I am. Yeah. Anyway, 30 minutes podcast. There we go. Told you my cat story. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Rita. And hi, everybody else who's listening in. Hi to you. Remember, give Performance Realty a call. And I'll have that on the website. Ray Boutin, great guy, good friend of mine. Actually starting, he loves to sail. That's why he had sailing in his commercial here. So he loves to sail, and he's going to start a sailing program, hopefully, at our camp here with the kids. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Remember, if you know anybody who needs to listen to this podcast, would you do us a favor and would you share it, please? Share it on Facebook, share it on your website, share it on your Instagram or any kind of social media. Download it. And if you want to, you can subscribe and even give us a review in iTunes. I don't even think I have any reviews in iTunes. I'll be going for a year. And we're in 46 countries. Wow. That's unbelievable. And I still don't think I have an iTunes review. But anyway, it's been great being with you today. You can go to therealtruthaboutyou.com and get more downloads and podcasts and stuff like that and listening to more. Remember that you are loved. You are loved. You are loved. And you absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, rock.